Hi everyone, David here from daviddumaiaudio.com, and in this video I want to show you guys how you can create your own score counter sound effect. So if you ever played a video game and at the end of the game, maybe a level or something, you get to a screen where it adds up all your score and then you see those numbers go up and it sounds something like this. Right? And then you have all your points added up. This is the kind of sound effect I want to show you guys how to create. Before we jump in though, if you haven't checked the description, make sure to check it out. I'll have a free little sound pack of different score counters that I've created, and they'll also be loopable, so they'll be free in the description below. All right, let's get into our project, and I'll show you guys how you can create your own score counter sound effect. All right, so for this sound effect, I'm actually going to show you guys two different ways of doing it, okay? So like I said before in the introduction, this is the kind of sound we're going for here. And of course, we're going to be affecting the different speeds. Right? Depends on what you want and what your needs are for the game, but we'll be creating that from scratch, okay? So yeah, like I said, we'll be doing it in two different ways, but let's start from the beginning here, okay? So let's create a new patch. I'm in Faceplant right now by Kilohertz, and all right, so we're just gonna start with a simple analog waveform here. And what I'm gonna do now is add a pitch shifter. So we're going to need to pitch shift this. By the way, you technically don't need this. Let's try to do it without. And I'm actually going to need an LFO. So the LFO is going to be key to this effect. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to open up the editor so I can play around with it a little bit. And let's just create some sounds here. So I'm going to start at the very bottom and make sure it's staying snapped to the grid. And we're just going to go up like this. And you can kind of create your own. It depends. So right now I'm going up in steps, which is what I want for my sound effect. But we're going to try to create different ones, actually, because it kind of almost doesn't matter what you create here. And every single one that you create is going to be a bit different, and that's good. It's going to create different sounds based on what this shape here is. So I'm just going to create like this. Okay, so let's say this is our shape here, okay? Now, what I'm going to assign this to is usually the pitch, or we can do that directly here. So I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so that's like that. Now, what I like to do is assign the mod wheel to the speed of this LFO, so that if I play it faster, it's going to go really fast. So let's try it slower first, and then speed it up. Right, and there you go. You already have that counter sound. And depending on what you want, you might want it a bit slower or faster. Okay, so there you have it. Like, this is a really basic setup for how you can create it. But now let's go a bit further and deeper into this. So what else can you do? So there's 4 parameters that are key to the sound. One I already went over. It's the LFO. The other one is going to be like which sine wave you're going to use here, like which waveform. So if you use like a square compared to this, very different. Right, so the one that I like the best, or that I think sound the best, are the square and the soft. Right, so I think those sound pretty good. So we've touched on which waveform you're going to use, which LFO you're going to use. The other ones are the distance of your pitch. So right now, if you look here, the distance that I'm going for my pitch is only at +10. So the LFO is doing only +10. So if I do more, like I think this is 10% if I'm not mistaken. So if I do more, it's going to sound completely different. Let's try that. Let's do it a bit slower so we can hear the difference. Right, so now if I speed that up, it almost doesn't sound like a counter anymore, right? It's just a different sound effect. Or you can go downwards. So this is downwards, or I can go upwards modulation. Let's do a square. So it sounds kind of cool because you get that bassy kick. right? And that's it. So I think we've touched on the fourth. So the fourth one here was the speed of the LFO modulation. So you have your speed of your LFO modulation. Let's bring this all the way down. Okay, you have your speed, you have your shape of your LFO, you have how much it's going to affect the pitch, and then you have the type of oscillator that you're going to use here. Okay, so once we have all these four parameters that we can play around with, then we can really create a sound. Okay, so let's change one of these. Let's change, like, for example, this one. Let's say I'm just going to save this first. Let's say I want to save it as score counter 6. And as you can see here, I already have other ones. So I'm going to load another one in here. So I'm going to load, let's say do this one here. So if I open it up here, you can see there's a lot of steps. And so it goes all the way up and then all the way up halfway. So if I go slowly. Right? You have a new sound. If I go like this, very different. Let's try another one here. This is another score counter LFO that I created. Right, so based on the shape of the LFO, the speed, and your analog waveform here, you can get completely different sounds. And what I like to do as well is you can just copy and paste this and create a new waveform. So maybe I want one like this and then one at regular. You play them together, you get a new sound. So let's bring this down. Hopefully you get the idea of this, how you can create these sound effects. Now, I want to show you one more way to do it, and this is by doing it manually with your Midi file. So if you don't have like an LFO or something like that for some reason, you could do it with just your Midi file. So what I did here is I played I'm just on the piano roll here, just different notes. So here I have G sharp and E flat, or A flat and E flat. So G sharp, D sharp. So if I look here, I have G sharp, G sharp, D sharp, D sharp, G sharp, D sharp, D sharp, D sharp. Right, I'm just going up in octaves. Okay, and then I just repeated that over and over again. So if I play this now, actually before we play it, this is the pad. So this is the sound I have. This is not doing anything, so let's turn that off. So right, just a nice clean like square sound. And now if I play it with this pattern, we should have something similar. Right, similar to before. Right, and the key to this is that it's playing very fast. So if you look here, I'm at 1/128th in terms of subdivision. So like this is very, very fast. So that's how I'm getting this kind of counter sound. Now, depending on the pattern that you create, you can create a different sound. So right now, I'm just going up in octaves in fifths. But if you want to do something completely different, I mean, you could definitely do that. So let's try a different one. So here's another sound that you can do. Again, I'm just doing fifths. I find they work pretty well, and I like that sound. But let's try. If I wasn't doing fifths, maybe I could do something like thirds. All right, so these are thirds here. That classic counter sound. So this is the basic idea, the basic setup of how to do it. I mean, you could even experiment with, like, if you wanted to, like something crazy, like you just load some presets, and as long as you have like your arpeggios here set up, you should be able to get something going. It sounds quite different. All right, so it doesn't work for everything, but if you wanted to be creative, you could like try to go through some presets and see if it can work with this this technique here. All right, so this is basically it. This is how you can create some score counter sound effects. They're kind of very traditional, but I mean, this is the basic concept. So if you want to go from here, add other plugins, add other effects and stuff like that, you can do that and create your own sound effect that way. All right, I think that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I always do my best to answer them. And just a reminder to grab those free sound effects, that free sound effect pack that I put in the description below. All right, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.